Hello and welcome to day 7 of Unrelatable to Unstoppable video series. We've been plugging along consistently, and I want to say thank you for being here with us. My name is Sara Oblak Speicher, and today we're going to be talking about receiving. As I mentioned in a video yesterday, receiving comes in many different shapes and forms and formats. And before we dive in, just a quick recap of what this Unrelatable to Unstoppable series even is and why are we doing this. It was inspired and it's dedicated to unconventional women leaders who are ready to transcend the weight of other people's expectations, to activate the magic superpowers of theirs so that they can transform their lives, so that they can simplify their work, so that they can harmonize their homes and really go after whatever that important, meaningful thing is that they've been eyeing. And doing it without wasting the time and energy that, let's be honest, they already don't have, and especially without squeezing into everybody into places where they no longer belong. That's a big one. Receiving, it's something that is available in the mastermind, micro mastermind, Unrelatable to Unstoppable, which this series bases on. I am sharing my gift to you, the framework that 5 women members are going to be walked through, guided through, supported through in the sacred space of that mastermind. But as my gift to you, the first question obviously is, are you willing to receive it? And are you open to receiving it? And are you ready to receive it? Very different things. And it's not just about receiving, let's say, support and accountability, feedback, or encouragement, within the framework of the mastermind. It transcends any of that. It goes for everyday life. And oftentimes the inability to receive can be traced in our childhood, or even, carries through epigenetics. So my question to you is, telepathically, I don't have you here. I can't see your response. I wish I could. But with the most love and respect and gentleness, I want to ask, have you been raised to be fierce, independent woman? Some of us, that was intentional, passed down from our parents to prepare us for the life, right? Some was unintentional. Some of us had no other choice as we were navigating, experiencing traumatic events, maybe a whole series of traumatic events. Maybe some, as I said, were passed down through generations, because those programmings that ultimately result in our inability to receive actually transcend generations. They transcend cultures. They transcend professions. One thing they do seem to have in common is they're more common in women than in men. So there's a lot of work that we get to do there. And a colleague of mine was just describing the other day how she was surveying women, business owners in that case, in her community, and how most of them say, if they want to receive more revenues, they need to offset that by labor. Again, trading dollars for hours. And that's another old programming that, again, kind of goes parallel with the ability to receive. But even if you're not a business owner, let's say you're a C-suite leader, or you're a homemaker, or anything in between, one of the fast and super easy tests in checking in with yourself, where on the spectrum you are. Think about when somebody gives you a compliment and compliments your hair, compliments your shoes, compliments your energy. What is your typical response? Do you say thank you and carry on? Or do you find yourself explaining and justifying, or being all frazzled, or, as in some cases I've encountered also, quite triggered and on the offensive, right? Because we lack that capacity to receive. So that is the first check, to just see where your baseline is. So now, how can we open to receiving? I don't have a universal recipe for that, as much as I wish I could offer one to you, but I don't think it exists. What I can offer to you are some of the tools and some of the first steps for you to get starting with. First thing is to become aware and starting to internalize the idea and then believe until it becomes knowing of yours that first, you are not worthy based on the numbers in a bank account or on a scoreboard or a scale or time stopwatch, for example. That was a big one for me in particular as a former athlete, right? Or a scholar, worthiness based on grades and parents' response based on what kind of grades you're bringing home. That is the first thing for you to remember, that there's no external measure of your worthiness. And the more that you can work on that, the easier is it going to be for you to soften into receiving. Another thing that was really important in my own journey was understanding that life has seasons. So as much as I was conditioned that I ought to be fierce, independent, never relying on anybody for anything, I had to realize that as I became a mom, as much as I wanted to pride myself with it, and as much as I tried to do it all, including strapping a newborn into a baby carrier, putting my toddler on the back of the sleds so that we could walk up and down an 8-car driveway, shoveling it clear of snow so that my husband could come home from work. Doing it all after I already did my business part. I already took care of the house and the dogs and the kids all day. Yeah, and I remember so clearly walking up and down the driveway thinking like, oh my gosh, one day this is going to be such an interesting story and there's going to be a lesson in it. I don't know yet what that's going to be, but I better memorize this thing. And I can still feel the snowflakes on my face. I can still hear the crunching of the snow beneath my feet as I was walking up and down there. I can still feel the silliness of that. But where I was at the time is I was just coming out of 3-month paid maternity leave that I created for myself as a solopreneur, which was a huge accomplishment in the States. Remember, I'm European. We do maternity leave a lot different over there. But also, it was hopefully in my calculations kind of like an compensation for all the hard work that my husband was doing, keeping our roof above our heads and keeping food on our table, because I had to slow down in a way, and I never equated any work, invisible labor, any of that I did at home, taking care of the kids, as worthy. I had to do something in order to receive my husband's support. And I will never forget, years later, I was working with one of my mentors, and I came to a point when I was really angry. I was really resenting. I felt trapped. I felt like I wasn't heard. I wasn't supported. I wasn't seen. I wasn't fulfilled. And at that point, the easiest target was my husband, and I was kind of blaming him because he said no to us moving to a different environment. He said no to changing his working schedule. He said no to a ton of different things that I thought were important, including some very intimate things between us that this is not a time for me to share as much as I would like to, because I know it could be beneficial for you to hear. But at the end of the day, that's the space where I was operating, and it felt like the walls were closing on me. Through all the work that I have done, that eventually shifted, that I saw him as a victim, and I was angry with myself for even putting him in that position, which just reinforced that belief that I need to grind my way out there and I need to roll up my sleeves and do things on my own even more, right? Because if I want to get out of here, who else is going to build the ladder? I have to build out the ladder. But the more that I try to scratch my way out, the deeper the hole kept becoming. So at that point, I remember a mentor of mine was asking, she's like, have you ever considered all the ways that your husband is supporting you at? And my jaw dropped because I never thought about that. It was just so much easier to see all the things that were missing and all the things that were not aligning and all the things that I couldn't provide for myself and for us, and I wanted to, and I was putting a pressure on myself, that I was really taken aback by that question. Again, fast forward a couple of years, we are now in a very good place and a very good space. We've been through some crazy turmoils, but that's what life is, right? Every season brings something new, but the question remains, are you open to receiving? And after this simple little test about, when you receive a compliment, now can we move to bigger things? Now can we move on to things that pertain to outsourcing, that pertain to asking for help actively, not just waiting for it to appear? And are you okay with not holding on to everything and having to control the outcome, right? That oftentimes is, again, a sign of just overcompensating. When one thing is out of your control, then you're going to go and find something else. Hey, can I control how my family shows up in all the pictures? Can I control how I present whatever it is? What is, the perfectionism? One of the ways it shows up is because we can't control what we innately need and want to control in the first place. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist. This has been purely my observation through all the years of working on myself and working with my clients across the world. So the ask for today, for you to be able to open and soften into receiving, is to start expanding the awareness. Again, I know I'm asking you to expand the awareness every single day, but today, do it again. And today you're going to be asking yourself, where are you being supported? And where are you already receiving things that might not look the way you would want them to, but yet they are on a receiving end, they're on the inflow, right? And then be very honest with what are the things that you actually need and you're not getting, but you would like to, but you require them to. And then just have very open conversations with whether that's your kids who are not keeping up their end of the bargain when it comes to sharing a home, or that could be your partner, or that could be your team. It could be even your clients, right? You can always renegotiate the terms. You can always renegotiate the relationship. You can always renegotiate the commitments and the responsibilities that come with that. And then just ask yourself, now that we're talking about the strategic pieces, how can you renegotiate? How does that new life looks like, and how does the version of you get to look like when you are open to receiving, whether it's support or accountability or feedback or encouragement or anything in between? And then just take it from there. Okay. So that's what I have for you for today. And before we part ways, I just want to invite you to check out Unrelatable to Unstoppable Mastermind, because as we're going through those 10 days, these lessons are expanded one per month. We're going to spend a whole year together, and we're going to really guide you hand in hand through all these steps. We're going to dive much deeper than what we have the capacity and time for in those 15 minutes every single day. Plus, you get the community. So you're not just you and I, but you have the community, and you also receive in-person retreat, and you also receive one-on-one time with me every single month, plus so much more. So check it out on makeyourlifealegacy.com website. It's going to be right there, Unrelatable to Unstoppable Mastermind. If you have any questions, please do let me know. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we're talking about really transforming and up-leveling your life, harmonizing home, deepening relationships, and simplifying work on a whole new level now that we have created the baseline for it. So see you there.